Xander.
For today's event. Okay.
We don't have internet.
Well, I know you don't now, but the time to watch it was between 9:35 and 9:50. Okay, so welcome everybody to today's class. We have a guest speaker who's going to be talking about what we experienced yesterday. So I'm going to turn it over to John, and then we'll go to the class. John, why don't you want to sit down, or you can stand up in front of the chair? Okay. All right, and then I'll do that. You might have to move the board closer.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for attending yesterday's interim committee meeting. I think we had a great impact on the legislators and elected officials and judges who was there. They really got an understanding of what was going on. The first thing I want to do is explain to you guys what that committee was and what was the intent. So, in our government system, you have the state assembly and you have the state senators. Those are the people who make the laws. But we have 42 assemblymen and 21 senators. So for all of them to make decisions at the same time, it would take us too long. So what they do is they have committees, and each committee deals with different things for our government. You know, you have education committee, you have the administration of justice committee, you have transportation committee. These are all committees that are made up of elected officials. Well, in Nevada, we only go to session every 2 years. So when we're not in session, they have interim committees who still work on legislation and make recommendations. So when we go to session in 2015, they already have things that they can work on. So you have your, well, before that, you have the governor. Under the governor, you have the assembly, and you have the Senate. Under there, you have your various committees. Once they make a decision, it then goes up to your senators and assemblymen. Once they make a decision, it goes up to the governor for a signature. He has the power to veto or sign the legislation. If he chooses to sign the legislation, it becomes law. If he decides to veto it, that means that that legislation is now invalid. And in order for it to get valid, it goes back to the assembly and back to the Senate, and they have to have a 3/4 majority in order to override the governor's decision and make it law. The committee you guys attended was the Administration of Justice. They deal with the legislation concerning laws. The legislation that, or excuse me, the issue that I want to talk to you guys all about, because I know you guys were wanting to hear about it, is number 11, I believe it was, which dealt with B-class felonies. Unfortunately, here in Nevada, if you get less than 4 grams, you can be charged with transportation, which doesn't make sense. So what they were trying to do was they were trying to give B felonies extra good time credit so they can get out of prison earlier. Unfortunately, dealing with these legislators and elected officials, they couldn't come up with a decision. They were arguing back and forth between the legislators and law enforcement. Law enforcement feels that we don't need to do anything, everything is perfect. Where the legislators and judges was like, no, that doesn't make sense. We're incarcerating too many people for too many long periods of time, and it's costing us too much money. So what happened was they agreed to disagree, which means they didn't do anything. So now for you guys that was there, Senator Tick Sigerbloom, that was the chair. How many of you guys noticed him? He was the one that was always talking. And when I came up there, he made the joke about Bernie Sanders. Him and the other gentleman, Assemblyman Frierson, in 2015, they're going to make their own bills in the Senate and the Assembly in 2015. So now we're going to have to wait until 2015 till they come up with the solutions, and it's going to be debated in both houses, and it still may not pass. Unfortunately, we are the only state where if you steal a candy bar, you could be charged with burglary. Doesn't make sense, but unfortunately, that's the way the system is here in Nevada. But that's why, once again, we need people like you to come up and voice your opinion. Before they ended, it was public comments. What's your name? Oris. Oris asked me to read a statement. And in fact, his statement fell on what they were talking about. He was arrested with 4 grams or less of a controlled substance. He was charged with transportation. So when I read it, you know, to the assemblymen and to the legislators, they got an understanding of the situation. So we have someone that's working on legislation to change it, but that doesn't mean that it's going to get passed.
Was there anything on the DUI laws?
No.
The DUIs fall up under the B felon category, and it's non-violent. So that's why, that's why it was important to us.
Yeah.
DUI.
Now, no, there was talk on the DUI, and they're trying to change that as well. So what they want to do is they want to cut down from a B felony to actually a misdemeanor. So if you get a DUI, instead of having it be a B felony, unless you kill somebody, then they want it to be a misdemeanor.
That's why we want to be there, so that we can voice our opinion on that.
Is that including like your third DUI instead of it being a felony?
Yeah, that's on your third, because your first one is automatically a misdemeanor. You see what I'm saying? Your second one is a misdemeanor. The third one is a felony. But they don't want it to be a felony unless you kill somebody, unless you're in a bad accident, unless you commit, a certain amount of property crime in that, even if you have a DUI and you get in an accident, let's just say you hit a pole and you total your car out. That's your car. You see what I'm saying? But if you have a DUI and you hit somebody else's car and total that car out and injure that person, then you're liable for a felony. But the whole thing is that as progressive and as some of the progressive legislators, we feel that what you do for yourself or to yourself is your business. You see what I'm saying? We shouldn't penalize you for things that you're doing to yourself. But if your actions hurt someone else, now you're held liable. And that's what, we're trying to correct. Unfortunately, these laws have not been looked at since '91, which means that they're behind the times.
So, question: if they pass this, the law or whatever, then can we that's already been convicted of that go back and get that wiped off our record?
It depends on the law.
Right.
If the law is retroactive in the way they've written it, then yes. But if not, then no. And for the students that are in California, I don't know the actual proposition, but there is a proposition in California to turn low violent crimes and low drug offenses from felonies to misdemeanors. And that proposition is retroactive. So which means if the people of California pass a proposition and it becomes law, then it's retroactive. So it's how you write the bill and how they sign it. So if it doesn't have a retroactive clause in it, then it won't be retroactive. If it does have a retroactive clause, then it will be retroactive. Speaking in Nevada, 9 times out of 10, it will not be retroactive, just based on how our legislators and law enforcement feel about things.
Do you know of any similar thing going on in Arizona?
I don't. Is there any other questions? Okay. Now, there is, during the 2015 legislative session, there is time for you guys to testify again. So when these things come up, I will let you guys know. And once again, if you don't come out and speak about it, then it's easy for the legislators and elected officials to say, you don't care. If nobody comes up and voice their opinion, like Crescent Hardy came and told us when he came and spoke last time, if there's a problem, you need to voice your opinion. Because if you don't voice your opinion, then they're going to use that as there is no problem. You see what I'm saying? And by you guys coming yesterday and by me testifying yesterday, they know that there's an issue and they need to work on it. So the more people that you guys advocate for and to and get them to come up, we won't get change. I mean, just like immigration. I mean, they've been fighting and fighting for immigration, and it hasn't went anywhere, but they're continuing to fight, and they're continuing to push the issue because they're unhappy.
And it's amazing that they don't realize that there's a problem because there is a lot of those remaining men, big parades and protests. It's still a lot.
John, just real quick, back to the immigration issue. Where are they fighting at, and what are they unhappy about?
Okay, so for immigration, I mean, me personally, you know, they say immigration, but you know, it's an issue with Mexico.
Okay.
Okay. At the end of the day, when we went to Cuba and went over there and burnt all the fields, and it was Cuba and another country where they make all the cocaine. We went over there and we eradicated most of the fields.
Colombia.
Colombia, there you go. It was Cuba and Colombia.
Oh, it's a pretty big place.
We sent in our, you know, special forces, and we went in there and we burnt down the coca leaves. We burnt down the coca fields. But what happened was they just transferred it from Colombia and Cuba to Mexico. So now what you have is you have drug lords in Mexico who are terrorizing the Mexican people. In Mexico, if you're an elected official and you're against drugs, you're dead.
Yeah.
They will kill you.
Yeah. That's right.
So now we have an influx of Hispanics who are now fleeing and coming to America
As refugees.
as refugees.
Okay.
But we don't classify them as refugees. We classify them as illegal immigrants. And when these parents bring their kids over, they're kids. They don't have a decision. When you were a kid and your mom told you we were going to the store, you got up, you got dressed, and you went to the store. If she told you to go to school, you got up, you got dressed, you went to school. The same thing is happening is that they're bringing over their kids, and now their kids are getting older and they don't have immigration status. So what they want is they want a pathway to citizenship, which means that if I was here as a child, due to no fault of my own, and now I've been here working, going to school, doing the necessary things that would consider me a productive citizen, I should have citizenship. And that's what the big fight is how do we give these undocumented workers their pathway to citizenship? And that's what the big immigration fight is. And currently, we had a bipartisan agreement in our federal government. Our federal Senate passed a nonpartisan bill, and when I say nonpartisan, like I said, you have to vote. There's so many Democrats, there's so many Republicans. To make a bill nonpartisan or bipartisan, that means that the majority of the Democrats agree and the majority of the Republicans agree on a bill.
Okay, thanks.
I keep seeing commercials saying vote no on the margin tax. What is the margin tax?
Okay. The margins tax is a bill for education. How many of you guys heard, in the session yesterday, how they kept saying we have no money, we have no money?
Yeah, I think we pretty much
Exactly.
clear on that. Yeah.
So when it comes to education, once again, they say they have no money for education. So what proponents of the margins tax, what they want to do is they want to tax businesses who make over $1 million. If you make over $1 million, they want to put a tax on how much you make. I believe it's like 2%. That money is going to be used for education. Once again, in California, in 2012, we had a margins tax. Our margins tax passed. So right now in California, those millionaires have to pay a portion back into the community to pay for education. So of course, big businesses don't want the margins tax to pass.
Has education flourished in California because of this tax at all? Have you seen it?
Personally, I haven't kept up with the statistics on California and the margins tax, but I know they've balanced their budgets. For the first time in 10 years, California now has a balanced budget. Where for 10 years we were deficit spending.
Yes.
How many of you guys know what deficit spending is?
Me.
Okay. For those of you guys who don't, deficit spending is just that. You don't have the money, but you're borrowing the money to pay for it. So every year they will borrow money without paying for programs. Now they're able to pay for the programs out of the money that they have. So now they have what's called a balanced budget, which means they're bringing in enough revenue to cover their expenses. So that was brought by the margins tax, because that money for education is now being funded, so that's less money that they had to borrow. Now, is it producing better results? I don't have the statistics. I can't say yes or no. But I can tell you that they have a balanced budget. Now, here in Nevada, they don't want it to pass because they don't trust. I mean, personally, I'm still, on the fence on the margins tax, just because it's supposed to go to education, but it doesn't have to.
Oh, it's not legislative.
No, I mean, because laws are changed. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
You can have a bill that says what is called is bookmark. So you can, or excuse me, not bookmark, earmark. So you can earmark money. So all this money that's coming in is earmarked for education. Well, with a majority vote, they can change the earmark.
Well, could they move the money to the general fund and spend as they see fit to spend it on something else?
And see, that's the thing. The money is going into the general fund. You see what I'm saying? The money from the margin tax is not earmarked for education. They're saying it's going to be used for education, but it's not earmarked. And that's what has a lot of people like myself on the fence. If our legislators hasn't done the right thing so far, how can I trust that they're going to continue to do the right thing with this new money that they get? They can change it at any time. You got a question?
Oh no, I was just pointing to the trust factor banner.
Oh yeah, trust. You have to trust your elected officials to do the right thing. But once again, that's where elections come in. If you vote for candidates who you trust, like Tick Seegerboom, I totally trust him. I know that he has the right intentions, and I know he's going to do the right thing. So therefore, I support him in the issues and the things that he's putting in. Is there any other questions?
Who was that captain was here last week? That's this one that's-
Oh, the gentleman that came in to speak with you guys, he's an assemblyman. He is Assemblyman Crescent Hardy. He's currently running for Congress.
Oh, that's
And just like he said, stop electing the same people into office if they're not doing what you want them to do. Go out and find people and get them to run for offices that you believe in. The Constitution says, "We the people of the United States of America." That is one of the strongest sentences in our Constitution. It's "we the people." How many of you guys know about the Boston Tea Party? They wanted representation in Britain. The king said, no, out of sight, out of mind. You're not here in England, you're over there, you get no decisions. You get no representation. They sent ships, they sent convoys, they sent delegates to go negotiate, and every time the king said, no, no, no. So once again, the people stood up and said, okay, if you don't want to do it, then we want to break away from you. They had the Boston Tea Party, which led to the war, which led to the separation and the independence of America that we have today. Throughout history, you see the people standing up and creating change. Martin Luther King, the bus boycott. How many of you guys know about the bus boycott? They wouldn't allow blacks to sit on the front of, you could sit on the front of the bus, but if a white passenger came and wanted to sit, you had to not only give up your seat, you had to get off the bus, get back on the bus, and pay a new fare. So what did they do? They stopped riding the bus. What did that do? The CEOs and the people who are about their money seeing that they were losing profits. So they said, do we continue to want to have these policies and lose money, or do we want to change, allow these people back on the bus and continue to get revenue? That is the biggest thing that we lack here in America today. The willingness not to do business with corporations who are against us. Walmart, for example. How many of you guys go to Walmart? I go to Walmart. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
I stopped going to Walmart.
You know,
For that very reason right there.
but let's just say as everybody stop going to Walmart. You think they'll change their policies?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is their policy?
Okay, I mean, the fact that they get products on pennies on the dollar. They go to foreign countries and build factories. So it costs them $2 to produce something, they resell for $10 and $15, $20, $100, and they pay their employees minimum wage.
And leave them there.
There's no room for advancement.
Well, that's smart on their end. I would think so.
Well, that's good for them.
It's good for them, but it's not good for you.
The employee.
You see what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, if you continue to do business, then they're going to continue to do it. But if you believe that their business practices are unfair, then you don't shop there. I don't go to Station. Station casinos are non-union casinos, which means that their employees don't have a voice, which means that they can work their employees without giving them breaks. They can pay their employees minimum wage, unfair working conditions, which means those dealers stand up all day. Just imagine you're working at a job where you got to stand up all day. Your feet's going to hurt. So therefore, you have to break your employees at increments of an hour, 2 hours to rotate them out. Well, if you're not in a union, then you're on the floor for 2 hours. If you don't like it, quit.
In a union house, you got to break every 45 minutes or 15 minutes.
Exactly. If you're in a union, because it's called collective bargaining. That's what strikes are about. If you don't like what's going on at the job, then collectively, if you guys agree, just like now, right? You're in a school. Let's just say this was a job. And you guys are all working on a computer doing data entry or something, right? And Ed here is the boss. And he said, you know what? You guys got to sit at these computers for 4 hours, no break. In fact, you guys can't even have water.
Or coffee.
Now, if you guys weren't a union and he started complaining, Ed's going to say, hey, you know what? If you don't like it, get out the door. I can have somebody to replace you. Now, if you guys were union and you didn't like it, and he talked to him and him talked to him, and you guys all voted that this issue was wrong, and you came up to Ed and said, hey, Ed, we don't feel like this is, fair. And Ed said, I don't care. Oh, you don't care, Ed? Okay, let's vote. We're going to strike. We all vote to strike. We all get up, walk out the door. Guess what? With collective bargaining, you still have your job. At the end of the strike, you still have your job.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between a union house and a non-union house. The ability to come together and advocate for job grievances and still have your job.
A prime example of that was the Frontier Casino. They did it. They struck for 8 years, and everybody that was on the line, the picket line, they were able to come back to their jobs once the strike
was over.
Just a note on the last subject. There is no dealers union.
No, there is a dealers union.
When?
In fact, I met one of the dealers unions at an event. There's a dealers
When
union.
did they start? Last year?
No, they've been had a dealers union. They're under the transportation union.
Oh, I know they tried to get over the call there and
The transportation covers Southwest, American Airlines. They have the dealers union with them, and they have another one. But yeah, we do have a dealers union.
What did you say? This is a union?
Yeah, any union casino have dealers. So Cosmopolitan, Fremont Street, all those casinos that are union, those dealers, yeah, they're in a union.
Transportation union?
Yes, they're in transportation union.
He's a dealer.
What casino?
My last job was Mandalay Bay.
They're union, aren't they?
I don't believe so.
No.
Oh no.
No. Yeah, so if you're non-union, you're not part of a union. But the thing is that you have the right to organize. You have the right to make your own union. A friend of mine, he didn't come and speak, but he came with me one time when Crescent had came, when Craig Freeberg came and the other Sean guy came. Did you guys see the white guy with glasses?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's an attaché. Attachés are assistants to the legislators. They don't have a union. He wants to organize a union under the transportation union. So this session, he's going to organize and get his co-workers to come together, sign a petition, and become a union. McDonald's. How many of you guys heard of the 1515 movement?
Did it pass?
No, it didn't pass.
Somebody said it passed.
I haven't heard of it. Can you tell me?
So what they want to do is they want to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Oh, I heard of that.
Well,
They-
that's in McDonald's? Or?
No,
fast
across.
food restaurants.
But what they want to do in raising it to 15, they also want to allow fast food workers to unionize.
At the airport, aren't they already unionized? Taco Bell and they get union wages out there?
They may get higher pay because they're at the airport, but they are not union.
No,
See, if you work for the airport, you're in a union. You got to understand when it comes to the airport, it's a facility. So they're landlords. They're renting too. So when you go to those stores, when you go to Starbucks or you go to one of those stores inside, they're renting space from the airport. That doesn't make them union. You have to be hired by the airport. You have to be hired by Southwest. You have to be hired by a company who's union. Not the fact that you're in the airport doesn't give you a right to union. The company that you work for has to be the union.
Did you film yesterday when you were down
Did I what?
there? Film it?
No, I didn't film it because it's already filmed for free. And I'm actually going to call the secretary to get her to email me the give me to email it because I actually wanted to let you guys watch it as well.
It's one of the things that you take.
And they do not see it on one.
Yeah, it's one of them, like 4 or something like that. They do televise it live, but after that, you have to get it online. Yeah.
John.
Where would I go?
Are they planning on raising the minimum wage at all? Soon at all?
Yeah, how's that movement going as far as the $15 an hour thing?
Once again, my favorite legislator, Tick Sigerbloom, has a BDR. A BDR is a bill draft request. The legislators do not draft the bill. They have to put it as a request, and the staff, they draft the bill. He has a BDR currently to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but once again, with the power of the people putting pressure on the elected officials, we can possibly get it to change. If you're an elected official and you have a bill that comes up before you, and you know that if you don't vote yes, you may be removed, you're going to vote yes, right?
Right.
But if that bill comes up and you know that if you vote yes or no, it really doesn't matter, you're still going to keep your job, then you're going to vote
no.
however, whatever, you feel. So that's where the pressure, the Tea Party, for example, that's why the Tea Party candidates and the Tea Party has been so successful in blocking what we're trying to do in Congress, because those Tea Party candidates know that if they don't vote the way that the Tea Party wants them to vote, they will not have a job. They will be challenged. In this primary alone, across the nation, there's been Tea Party candidates being challenged by other Tea Party candidates because the party feels that they are not aggressive enough. How many of you guys know of, I forget his name.
Rick Santoro?
Is it Rick Santoro? No, it's not Rick Santoro.
The one that got voted out?
It is
last
Rick.
time?
Yeah. Okay. How many of you guys know about Senator Rick Santoro?
I don't know that about.
He was a Republican. In fact, he ran against Obama. No, it's not Rick Santoro. It's another one. I forget his name. He's from Virginia, though.
Oh.
For name purposes, let's call him Paul. Paul was a senator, an assembly member in the state of, he was a congressman in Congress. He represented the state of Virginia. He wasn't Republican enough. He wasn't Tea Party enough. He was the Republican House minority, speaker. No, he was the majority leader. So you had the Speaker of the House, then you had him. He was right under the Speaker of the House. He no longer has a job. He was defeated in the primary by another Tea Party because he wasn't Tea Party enough. That's what we have to do. We have to start voting people in or out on how they vote on the issues. If they're not going to vote the way we want, then they need to be removed and replaced with someone who will be. You had a question?
No, I was going to tell you you spelled governor wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, governor.
It's governor, not governor. But thought I would let you know you spelled it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Now, when they get the bill to pass the minimum wage for $15, is there bargaining? Like, can they offer, okay, we'll just start with 13 and
Yes.
pass it back?
Yes. See, that's the whole thing. Once they make a bill, it's negotiated on.
So it can possibly go up no matter what
Yeah,
and not stay the same.
exactly.
So shoot for the high mark and then hopefully get the mark that you want.
Exactly. He has it right on the nose. You ask for something high, and you negotiate back and forth until you find a middle ground, and then you're able to pass a bill.
Oh, that's
They
one of
cite
our.
Seattle, I'm very successful with their minimum wage of $15.50. And everybody's flourishing, including the businesses, thought that they would go under because now the employees can afford to shop where they work. Maybe like that.
Exactly.
We have to get the middle ground, ourselves where we are.
Is that all your questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll turn it back over to Ed.
Okay, great. Hey, John. Okay, thank you, John. And thank you, everyone, for being here. California, hopefully this was enlightening for you. Dennis, are you still there?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. So, you know, for purposes here, most of our students, at least in Las Vegas, do not typically vote. And it's important for the school to give people reasons to vote.
Prove that.
The system that we have in our government is whoever has the most votes gets to make the rules.
Oh.
And unfortunately, the way it works is the people who need the most help are the ones who don't vote because they don't think their vote matters. So what we try to do at the school is to educate people and inform them about the importance of voting, and that if the 40% of the U.S. population that doesn't vote voted, life would be much different. And let's see, we saw a statistic in the last 2 weeks that this election here, voter turnout is going to be so low that in this election, the number of people who are going to be deciding the elections, they're going to change the government, possibly the Senate, the U.S. Senate, is equal to the population of Florida. That's it.
Wow.
Wow. That number of people are going to decide, are likely to decide, the fate of the country for the next 6 years in the Senate.
Nationwide?
Yeah. That's the number of people, not the state of Florida, but the number of people is equal to the population of the state of Florida. So it's not hundreds of millions of people. It's probably like, I think the number on the chart was like 27 million or 15 million or something like that. So, and $4 billion is being spent to get people to vote the way the people spending the money want them to vote. Why?
Because there's a minimal pool that they would be easy to play one way.
Well, $4 billion is a lot of money. That doesn't make it easy, but the reason is people are sheeple. Whoever spends the most money on advertising is going to get the most votes because people are not informed. So our thing is vote, but be informed. Now, and so we appreciate John coming to the school, bringing candidates in, educating people on the importance of voting, how the voting works. The thing yesterday was now to take it to this other level to see, here's what people who are elected actually, some of the things they actually do in their job. But a point of divergence, and I think it's the great opportunity now, is we don't have to vote by party. Now, John happens to like some people who are not Democrats, but primarily, obviously, John sways towards the Democrat ticket. Our opportunity here with SPQR is to get people to vote and then provide information on who the candidates are that care about the issues that what is called the politically alienated, that 40% of the population that doesn't vote, that should vote, the issues that those people really care about. Okay, vote for the people who are going to do what the formerly politically alienated people want. Don't vote by party, vote by person. And that's what Lawrence Lessig is doing on May Day, the May Day campaign. He's doing it through money. We don't need, doesn't need to be done through money, as was demonstrated in Egypt and in the Middle Eastern uprisings 3 years ago, 4 years ago. If people decide they're going to do something, having a smartphone with Twitter on it and other social media is enough. What's happening in Hong Kong today is the students are rising up for democracy against the communist government, the one-party system, and in Hong Kong there are people rioting in the streets. The students are not backing down because they have a tool which is called social media, that they can communicate with one another. And so it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. What it takes is people being educated and voting for the right people. And our goal at SPQR is to do those two things: educate people, find candidates who care about the things that we care about. If you're an ex-felon, there's certain things you care about. If you're formerly homeless, there's certain things you care about. If you're a veteran, there's certain things you care about. Identify the candidates and then hold them accountable. So in District 7, in this district here, John, do you know who the woman running for District 7 is that beat?
Dina Neal.
Dina Neal, okay.
Can I talk about her real quick?
Well, we're at break time.
Oh.
Maybe tomorrow. But anyway, she is going to be going to the Senate because she got 1,300 votes in the primary.
Assembly.
In the Senate. She's going to the Assembly because she got 1,300 votes in the primary, and a Democrat is always going to win in District 7. So she's going to the Nevada Assembly for 1,300 votes. If we put our minds to it, we could get 1,300 votes in our sleep. The thing is now to hold her accountable. Okay, she's going to be elected. Now the thing is to hold her accountable, to make her follow up on the promises she's made.
Is this District 7?
I don't. Is this District 7?
No, this isn't.
This is not District 7.
What is this district?
I'll have that answer for you at the end of break.
Okay. So anyway, the next election, if SPQR keeps doing what we're doing, we build momentum and get more organizers out there. By the next election, there will be people in the Assembly in Nevada who represent the formerly politically alienated. That's the opportunity. And John is good because he's out there having the courage of his convictions. That's what we need everyone else to do as well, at least to some level. So, any last questions? Anything in California?
No, thank you. It's very informative. Thank you, John.
So this is a different state. This is completely different than California. As people here always remind us that this isn't California.
Yes.
But this is very small. The whole system here is smaller than LA County. It's smaller than Orange County. And a lot of it is not what you know, it's who you know. It's not professional. And so that is a disadvantage, but it's also an opportunity. Okay. Well, everybody, it's break time. Thank you. And thanks again to John Johnson for being here.
Okay, thank you.
We'll pick up